Hey everyone, so today we're going to do a video on sort of application of foundation using a sponge technique. So I'm going to do a series of videos going through the different ways that I apply my foundation and concealer. I had this idea because one of my friends is interested in sort of starting to wear some makeup, and she doesn't really wear any makeup, and she doesn't really know very much about how to apply it and what the different techniques are. So this is a way for me to sort of share my experience with makeup application with my friend and all of my YouTube subscribers. So I hope that this video is helpful for you. So the application, like I said, that we're going to start with is using a sponge. Now I like to use a sponge like this. This one's actually a brand by Laura Mercier. I get this from Sephora. You get a package of 4 for $15. You could easily use a disposable sort of sponge like this that you can get from Walgreens or CVS. But I prefer to use this one because they're machine washable, so you can use them many times, and making sure that they're clean and sterile every time you use them. I also sometimes wash them just in my sink with soap and water and then let them dry out. I just find that I like this one better, and I don't have to constantly be using these and throwing them away. So I'm going to use my Laura Mercier foundation. It comes in a container like this with a squirt top. I'm actually the color Blush Ivory. It's the second to lightest shade that they have, and it's more of a yellowy sort of toned foundation. My skin is naturally quite pink, so I use a yellow sort of based foundation to sort of help control the pinkness in my skin tone. So that's what I'm going to do in this video, so I hope it's helpful for you. If you have any questions or I haven't sort of touched on any of the techniques that you'd like me to, please message me and I'll be happy to sort of put together a video for you. So let's get started. I'm going to use my Laura Mercier foundation. I'm actually the color Blush Ivory, and I'm going to use the oil-free based version. So I'm going to take my hand and put probably a squirt and a half onto my back of my hand. And then I'm just going to use the flat brush to sort of quickly apply the foundation to my face. A little bit under the neck. Let's see, where else do I need? Okay. Now I'm going to take a sponge from Laura Mercier, and then I'm going to just sort of quickly buff it into my skin. This gives you a really nice light, sheer coverage. Now when I bought this foundation, it was recommended to me by the Sephora sales associate that Laura Mercier actually recommends that you apply her foundation by using a sponge like this. Alright, now I'm going to go over again any problem areas that are seeming to be still red with the little bit of foundation that's still on the brush. Just so that I don't waste any of the foundation. Okay, and I'm going to use the sponge again to buff that in. Okay. Alright, so now I have an even base, and what I'm going to do now is go back with a concealer in the spots that are still kind of red, and I'm going to take Laura Mercier's cream foundation. It's called Secret Concealer, and I am the color number 1. I'm going to apply it under my eye. And I'm going to use my finger actually, just to kind of roll the product into my skin. And take a little and apply it to any problem areas. I do have some red spots from some old acne that are still healing, so I need to cover those up. I don't claim to have perfect skin, and I think it's sometimes good to see, the real thing before thinking that everyone on YouTube has perfect skin, because that's just not the case. Okay. And I do have a little bit of a pimple right there, but what can you do? Alright, so that's the application of the foundation and the concealer. I'm going to use Laura Mercier's translucent powder. Comes in a really nice container like this. It's loose. And I'm going to just tap a little bit of it into the top, just a real little bit. You don't need a lot. And I'm going to use my brush from Sephora. It's number 49. And it's the rounded powder brush. So I'm going to dip my brush into the product, kind of swirl it around, and then tap it off, because you definitely do get more product sometimes than you need. Tap it off. And then I'm going to go over my face. So this is going to help set the foundation and the concealer so that they're not going to move around anywhere on my face. So that's basically the foundation and the powder. I do like to put a little bit of color in my face. So I'm going to go over that with a colored powder by MAC. I'm going to use the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Natural in the color medium. And I'm just going to go ahead and use the same brush just to go over. Making sure to get your neck area. Okay. And I think I'm going to put a little blush on just to give myself a little bit of color. I'm going to put on MAC's Spring Sheen. It looks a lot like the color Orgasm from NARS. It's got a little bit of shimmer in it. It's sort of a peachy pink. I'm going to just use my MAC 129 brush. Smile. Apply it to the apples of my cheeks. Sort of blend it out. If you find that you load too much product on there, the easiest thing to do is sort of to tap it a little bit and to help get some of the product off. Go down my nose a little bit, my cheek a little bit. So that's basically how you apply foundation using a sponge. This one I lightly moistened before starting. I don't know if I remember to say that, but so you should lightly moisten the sponge with a little bit of water. You don't need it like soaking wet or anything. I just sort of really quickly rinsed it under the sink and wrung out any extra. It just helps to make the foundation a little bit more blendable. I also find that's helpful sometimes when you have really thick foundations, that they're sometimes really, really hard to sort of blend into your face. So by using a moist sponge or actually moistening your brush, it can actually help in the application of the foundation. So the next one to follow, I think, is going to be using just a paddle brush like this. And I'm going to sort of go through all the different techniques that I use because I think that's really helpful.